You're listening to a DM podcast.
Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world, and have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy. And it's a Monday and we're back, Diney.
We are.
How have you been?
Bloody fabulous, because I've been away a lot in the last few... I probably went every weekend I was going away, and I went, do you know what? I'm just going to have a chilled weekend. And I was such a nana. I ended up picking all the vegetables from the garden and actually made a meal from it, which you tasted last night. How was it?
Oh, wow, a bit of eggplant lasagna. You can't beat
Without
that.
the pasta.
Yeah.
So I was very proud of myself. Yeah, so I had a very chill, beautiful weekend.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And what about you?
Well, I actually had a really great day during the week. On the Thursday, I actually did some volunteer work with a lot of the Qantas girls for the Steve Waugh Foundation. So it's Grange on the Range, and it's a fundraiser for rare diseases, which is such an important cause because you've got so many people with these 1 in a million, diseases, and then they need to have a whole group together to get that funding. And, it was such a great day. The guys and girls went and played a round of golf, and then we came back and heard a few stories
and
had to sip a bit of Grange. So, it was a pretty good day. So it was pretty good.
It's, I was thinking, driving and going, there's nothing better in life, and anyone listening knows the feeling, than a really good belly, and I mean belly, vibrating laugh.
You can't be laugh, I tell you what, but you know what, you can't be offended either. And I tell you, sort of someone here who gets, I think, the king of being offended sometimes. Unbelievable. We have the one and only Vince Sorrenti, one of Australia's funniest stand-up comedians, writer and TV presenter, at our back fence, father of 4, so welcome.
Hello, wow, what a big rap.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was short but swoi. Short but swoi.
We're thrilled to have you here.
Thank you very much.
We're a little bit offended sometimes, so we hear you get offended.
Everyone's offended. Everyone's got
that about?
I don't know.
And your show's called?
I'm offended.
And what a great it speaks 1,000 words. Tell us about
Well,
that.
everyone's offended by me. I mean, I'm a white, middle-aged, heterosexual man.
Yeah,
I'm to blame for everything. I'm the reason why your house costs too much. I'm the reason why the environment's going to crap. I mean, I'm the reason why everything costs so much. I mean, I'm the blame.
Yeah.
Everyone hates us. I haven't done anything. I'm not trying to hurt anyone.
Oh, this was I got to say to everyone too, I was fortunate enough to see you last year at the State Theatre, and I was belly laughing so much.
It's so good for you to laugh.
And it really is.
Honestly, it's the best damn therapy.
It is.
Honestly, people say, comics are supposed to be sort of really maladjusted people and sort of have these deep psychological problems and use comedy. That's all rubbish,
Right.
I think because, we may have these issues, but the best way to overcome everything is to have a laugh. And I always feel good after that.
It's so bizarre, though, because you say that and it's the truth. Doctors say it's the greatest thing for your body is laughter.
Yeah.
And yet when you're saying in your show, I'm offended, I mean, are we politically correct? Is it wokeness? What is this all about? Why is this happening?
I think you've got to... I just look right through all that talk. I mean, this whole political correctness, wokeness stuff that we've created, it's just not there. It's just... It's created in sort of like...
We're on a bandwagon.
But the thing is, it is there as far as... You can sort of these days get in trouble though, can't you? There are people who'll actually really take you to task for it. And I believe, more than us, comedians sometimes can't say what you used to say, or TV shows can't go to air.
All the
biggest
biggest comics in the world are saying exactly what they want to say, and everyone else can go and get stuffed. Seriously.
So when you say
absolutely. You look at Ricky Gervais or Chappelle. I mean, it's like they're saying what they want to say.
Yes.
You can't gag satire. I mean, it's completely it's two contradictory sort of concepts.
Yeah.
I mean. People have to be able to say what's on their mind, what's bothering them. That's how we overcome issues. Comedy's not the problem. Comedy's the answer. We've got to get this through people's heads.
Comedy's the answer.
And I'll give you a classic example. Someone had a go at me once for making fun of sharks. Seriously, wow. This is how bad it's getting. Shark. I say, well, look, the reason I make fun of sharks is I'm afraid of sharks. Who isn't afraid of a shark? By having a laugh about a shark, you're overcoming that sort of. That's a simple example, but we need to talk about things that bother us, that scare us, that sort of that affect us. That's how we get over them. If you can if your relationship's bad, you need to, you go to your mates or your girlfriend and you talk about it and you try and have a laugh. You try and lift each other's spirits about it. You need comedy, mate. It's just so essential. It's like air. If you. This would be a pretty boring world, and we're trying to shut things down. Yeah. We're trying to cancel it, for God's sake. Cancelling was good 20 years ago. When you got cancelled, at least you get a refund. But
true.
Now they're just trying to put you out of business.
Vince, why is this cancel culture? How's it come about?
I blame social media in a way.
Okay.
And first of all, we've all become life's become so easy, we just need to get another level of things to do with our lives and things to talk about.
Yeah.
But social media's a big deal now because everyone's got a say.
True.
And most people haven't earned a say. And I hope I don't offend anyone by saying that. But in the past, journalists were people who'd spent years in sort of newsrooms or pounded the beat or sort of
double degrees
and been able to form opinions through sort of being right and wrong many times and listening to experts. But now, mate, everyone's an expert. Everyone's got something to say. People jump on. People pile on. Like someone says, "Oh, well, I agree. I disagree with." Everyone feels that they need to get into the conversation and share something about their life, insignificant or significant as it may be. So I think, look, we've opened, and this democracy of media is good in the long run, but it is causing some issues. Things that are meaningless suddenly are meaningful. People, hang on a minute, I don't think that's very good. Who cares what you think, mate?
It's interesting because it's a live show. A comedian on stage is usually one person with a full audience. So you're very exposed on stage, aren't you, as a comedian?
Well, I think stand-up comedy,
yes.
that scenario.
Yes.
But we're part of the
Arch
solution.
Barker recently with that woman with the baby, for example.
Yeah, that was unfortunate too. I can't defend everyone.
No, exactly.
How do you win
speaking for
sometimes?
myself.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
right.
How do you win? Sometimes.
I'm not trying to hurt anyone.
No.
And in a large number of cases, you'll find that the people that I'm speaking about on stage really want you to speak about them. Like sometimes deaf people want to be acknowledged.
Yes.
I do a routine about because people are so afraid to sort of talk about our ethnic groups these days.
Yeah.
We've got a whole new set of ethnic groups that no one talks about. We just ignore them.
Yes.
We ignore the Chinese. We ignore the Indians. We ignore the Somalis. We ignore the Sudanese.
Yes.
Why? These
Didn't the
people
Indians come up to you and thank you for acknowledging them after a show?
I get groups that come in and say, nobody ever talks about us. Like we don't exist.
Isn't that the greatest?
We don't exist.
It used to be the Wogs, and that was all fine.
You say that, hey, your backgrounds, you're Italiano, you're from Punchbowl, is that right?
Look,
that was never the most glam place in the States.
God, no. But when we acknowledge new Australians, we're holding up another mirror to ourselves. We're getting to know each other better and them better. And if they can laugh along with us, that's all great. And if we can laugh along with them, that's great. That moves us forward. That integrates us. It's important. We've got to have conversations, mate. We can't just sort of all put a box over our head and say nothing's wrong here, or nothing, nothing's changed here.
It must really disturb your creativity, honestly, when you're on stage and you're thinking, God, if I say that, maybe that'll offend them. At some stage,
no, not at all.
Not you.
Cannot let that get in there. You can't let idiots
Yeah.
dictate what is going on in this very important
Some
space.
people do, though. Some people
Well,
listen to it.
That is true, actually.
Yeah,
Because
and
a lot of
they hold back, and I'm like, that's fear.
That's fear.
That's dangerous.
Well, you look at some of the dreadful sort of comedy galas we're seeing now from because young comics are particularly affected. They've grown up in this world. They haven't seen another world before this.
Yeah.
They think this is normal.
Right.
This is
Now
not
that's
normal.
interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So people more of your generation or whatever,
Yes.
they really don't give a toss so much.
Like,
I mean, you're
come
always
on.
going to be
Yeah.
respectful to
That's
not to
fascinating.
hurt
And look,
someone.
mate,
but
I'm not trying to hurt anyone.
Never.
I mean, that's the last
You're
thing
the
I wanna
opposite.
do.
You want to
Yeah,
make us
yeah.
happy, for God's sake, at the end of the
Absolutely.
day. you know?
Yeah, well,
That's it.
I love hearing that,
Yeah.
but just it's really interesting because
I don't see a dilemma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to dissipate the point you're trying to make
Yeah.
here, but it's not an issue as far as I'm
Well, I
concerned.
tell you, when I was sat in the audience
Until it
watching
is.
you, I didn't see one sort of thing of holding back, and I hadn't
good.
heard stuff that
I'm proud of
for
you.
years, and I can't tell you how much I love. And also what I really liked, you had your beautiful wife and 4 children sitting in the row behind us there. And, I'd turn my head over and have a little look, and they were killing themselves. I was kind of sort of thinking maybe your sons or something might go, oh, no, his
Dad's
dad,
dad again.
or is it a dad joke or something? But I love it. So they were all behind it.
I did edit it a bit for them. I have to say. There were a couple of things I might have said. There are a couple of things I might say about my boys at another gig, but I didn't say that.
That's
night.
smart. That's
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But how did the journey start from you? Because you're an architect, is that correct? You're studying that?
I'm a graduate of architecture. I've got a couple of degrees in. Oh, well,
Jeez,
yeah.
look at what
Congratulations!
can you do?
For 40 years ago.
Wow,
yeah.
but
That's
still,
a long time ago.
It's a good degree to
But it's
do.
a fun thing. That architecture is the kind of thing that you do if you don't know what you want to do. That was me all over. But it's also a really good creative thing to do. There's not many creative things you can do at uni. I mean, you can
Yes.
draw, you can write,
Yeah.
or you can be. Architecture really teaches you how to sort of be creative and.
Yes.
And synthesize information and splurt it out in another form. And that's exactly what comedy is. You're synthesizing a whole lot of stuff, putting your signature on it, and then pushing it out into another form. So it's a very interesting parallel. It was a wonderful thing to study. It was bloody hard. It was 6 years and 6
And did you get into from studying? Were you doing some comedy on the side as a uni student, or how did that happen?
The reviews. I mean, the university
Uni
review.
was fun.
The
It was
architecture
more fun
review.
back then.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it? My
Yeah.
daughter's
It's
at uni
different.
now, and
Yes.
it's
And you
just
get free speech.
dreadful.
Yahoo! Everything was fine
yeah.
and safe.
That's
and okay.
politically correct. You can't
Yeah.
say this. You
Yeah,
can't
but-
say
yeah.
that.
Uni life died
Yeah.
2 decades ago. Honestly, my daughter's in 3rd year of commerce now
Yeah.
at Sydney Uni. I was having a
Boring.
chat with her the
Yeah.
other day. I said, "How's Manning Bar?" She said, "Where's Manning Bar?" I thought, "What?"
Yeah,
I
it's
knew
true.
where
'Cause
it
Manning
used to
Bar was.
roll.
Remember
you
the
know?
Roundhouse at uni?
Oh,
So I was there every
lovely.
Saturday night. Wow.
Same
Like,
here.
And now, oh no, you can't do that. But, red tape here, and some could fall there, and you don't do this, and close at 11. The neighbours might, and you go, what's going on? We need to
it's dead.
stop and reset.
It's a business.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Uni
yeah.
is a business. My daughter sits in
Yeah,
a room
right
with
on.
250 mostly foreign students who don't talk, don't go out, barely speak English. Cheating
Whoa.
is rife.
Is
It's
it
out
really?
out of control.
Wow.
It's
I
just,
love it. You call it as
I
it
used
is.
to write it on my hand. Is that what you're talking?
Oh no, mate. We're
Then I went up my arm.
We're talking AI. We're talking downloading
Oh,
essays
wow.
that
It's
are getting
everything.
written for you
Oh,
overseas
true.
and
Oh, yeah.
online. It's just
yeah.
it's completely
Yeah,
out of.
isn't it? Yes.
and
I don't
the-
want a surgeon doing medicine and studying with
Well,
AI,
or-
working on my body.
Or a person
You know what I
who
mean?
can't even hold a conversation in English and sort of go out and socialise. Nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
if
it's
you're not in a college,
crazy.
she did a couple of years at college.
Oh, why have we gone
And
this
otherwise,
way?
there'd be no uni experience at all. I mean, I swallowed the whole uni. I mean, I went to Bankstown Boys High, for Christ's sake. It was not boring. It was
No,
fun.
it
but
would
was-
have been
It was a
fun.
completely different paradigm.
Yes.
Here was uni, all these opportunities. I
Oh,
played
wow.
rugby at uni. I was in the university reviews, the architecture review. I really made a whole life
Yeah.
for myself. I loved it. At a time when uni was free, I have to say.
How's that?
God
Things
bless
have
you.
changed.
Oh,
isn't
that's
it?
that,
Where,
that's
our
free,
kids
free
are still
spirit.
paying off their hex.
It's true.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's
Oh,
just
apparently
how it
it's going
is.
to change. I was just reading recently that
Yeah.
Hex is might
Let's
be.
hope for that.
Yeah.
So how
So
did
you-
it roll for you with then getting into sort of like being a professional comedian?
Well, it just gradually overtook my life. I mean, it was just we just
It was
done
a
an
natural.
We'd done an architecture review. I think it was in year 3, and someone came to me and said, "Oh, look, someone's opened a restaurant in the city where people get up and be funny on stage. It didn't have, this was the Comedy Store. It didn't have a name. It wasn't called the Comedy Store. It was just a restaurant.
The Comedy Store wasn't the Comedy Store.
It had no name. It had it was some people they called it something else because no one had a name for it. And I got dragged down there when I did a couple of skits from the review which I'd mostly written and was in. And Rodney Rood was on. He was the MC.
Wow. I remember interviewing him years ago. God, he was funny.
He was hilarious.
So
he gets a bad rap these days, but he is honestly he
was brilliant.
Was brilliant. I learned so much. Yeah. The first stand-up comic I ever saw was Rodney Rood, and he was 5 minutes before I went on. So I had no idea what I was doing, and that was a real advantage because I'd be pretty scared of it these days. If you don't know what's about to happen to you, you're probably in a better situation. But I loved it. I mean, I was so scared. My leg was physically... I was holding my leg. I was that scared. I was holding it with my arm. But I got some laughs. And I remember coming off stage and Rodney Rood said, you really enjoyed that, didn't you? I said, yeah. He said, you'll be a comic for the rest of your life.
Oh, what a beautiful man to say that.
That first time.
And look at you, because you were started in the 80s. Here we are, 2024, and you've got sellout venues.
19 years old.
Unbelievable. You're a survivor. You really are. So can you give us like sort of a little bit like Nicola's seen? I haven't seen the show, but
tell us
something from the show, like inspire our listeners.
Okay, well, we were talking about the Indian people. All right, okay, fantastic Australians, really great Australians, law-abiding, sort of happy people, glass half full people. Like you've never seen a miserable Indian. They're positive people. You watch those Bollywood movies, always got a happy ending. If they made Titanic in Bollywood, ship would come up at the end.
Oh, that's great.
Hello there, I'm okay, don't worry. And then they go into a Bollywood dance,
Well,
so
and what
good.
about for our listeners from all over different suburbs we've got them from all around Australia, all around globally, but what about around Sydney, some of the different suburbs here for our listeners, Really.
Well, it's if you live in a nice suburb of Sydney, and we're going to say we've got to stay friends with the Chinese. We can't go to war with the Chinese. We need the investment, So if you live in a nice suburb anywhere in Sydney, you need to learn how to say this phrase, "Ching ma wo di fang za," which means, please buy my house.
But don't tell anyone you said it.
How true. Yeah.
See, that's
But I love Sydney culture.
Yes.
I mean, if you had to really sort of drill down into what really motivates me, because I absolutely love this city to death. I am so passionate about Sydney. Ask me, say to me, Vince, have you lived in Sydney all your life?
Vince, have you lived in Sydney all your life?
Not yet.
Oh,
but
that's
I plan
amazing.
to.
That's beautiful.
It's the greatest place on earth, and I have travelled extensively. But I love this. Where else can you walk into a harbour and see a skyscraper and have a swim? I mean, seriously, this is just the greatest thing that's ever happened to the world.
When you fly into Sydney, Nicola would know from all those years ago, and you look to your left if you're lucky enough, usually it's on the flight path, the Opera House, the Harbour Bridge and the glistening water, and you go, I'm the luckiest person in the world. I live here.
So for all our overseas
I love
listeners,
its culture. I love it.
Come on out.
Sport. I love it. And I love its... Sydney's a collection of big villages. The eastern suburbs, the North Shore, the northern beaches, the inner west, the outer west, the southern and these suburbs, these regions have nothing to do with each other. I live in the east. My world is Bondi Beach to George Street, from the Harbour's Edge down to Cleveland Street. That's it.
It's interesting,
when I was
isn't
single, I wouldn't even go out with a girl unless her phone number started with a 3, as they did in those days. Now everything's 9, but it was 9. It'd be 9.
You had to get past their father first when you rang up.
And I say that I was a Westie. I grew up in the West, so I moved from sort of Punchbowl to Bellevue Hill. The first person to do so without a balaclava on his head. And that was a huge transition in my wife grew up in Melbourne, and her moving from Melbourne to Sydney, that's nothing compared with me moving from Punchbowl to Bellevue Hill.
I believe that.
No comparison.
I agree.
Do you have family or anyone still in and around Punchbowl?
My dad now lives in Concord.
Okay.
So he's
So you do leave the parameter of
I do. I visit
the
Dad.
eastern
He
suburbs.
comes to see me too, I have to say.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he's
So it goes
welcome.
both
No,
ways.
I don't hate the other suburbs. I
No,
just have
no.
nothing to do with them.
Yeah. But it's funny because
it's
Dad said to me once, I said, I ran into someone that I hadn't seen for ages. He said, well, why are you surprised? You go between eastern suburbs and northern beaches or North Shore. And so he put me on a train out to Springwood. And it's the most fascinating trip on the train. I thought, he said, that's the bulk of Sydney, Di.
Yeah.
You don't know Sydney.
Yeah.
And I went, whoa, okay, right. So it blew me away and it really opened my eyes to how big Sydney is.
It's massive
Yeah.
and culturally
Yes.
diverse.
Very much
like
so.
My wife thinks Bellevue Hills is Sydney. You've got no idea. That's just like saying Toorak is Melbourne. You know,
Yeah, right,
That's it
on.
And see,
exactly,
look,
yes.
Melbourne's different. See, Melbourne doesn't have the geographic boundaries that
agree.
we do. Like we have a massive harbour in the middle. We've got rivers. We've got cliffs, and it's very hilly. You know, you can be geographically separated from another. In Melbourne, Melbourne's flat.
Yeah.
So in Melbourne, they separate themselves on different themes. Like
Totally.
religion's a big thing down there. What footy team do you follow?
What school you went to?
What school?
It
how much
is.
money you've got?
It's a
you know?
religion almost.
So
yeah.
class is much more prevalent in Melbourne.
Yes.
Class,
Wow,
religion.
Oh, very. It's,
Yeah.
it's a different vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
completely
different. It still has its sort of social delineations, but based on something. Here, it's geographic.
Yes. And so, do
yeah.
you do
And
your
beach swim.
shows accordingly?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been going to Melbourne for 40 years, and my wife's a Melbourneian, and I've got
Yes.
family, so I know Melbourne intimately. You know, so I
Yeah.
can, obviously I adjust to wherever. Oh, I know everywhere pretty intimately. I go everywhere quite a lot. I've been in Adelaide the last week, so there's all sort of stuff about Adelaide. Are we on in Adelaide too?
Yeah,
Absolutely. We're
on-
internationally.
globally.
Yeah, I love Adelaide. Went on a church crawl the other
Yeah.
night.
Hey, and what about
Drank a lot of holy water.
And I tell you what, Vince, what about, we've got quite a few listeners in the US of A and an election's coming up too. Have you got any views on that or what's happening?
be
Yeah, I'm a
fascinating.
You know,
big
like-
Trump supporter, mate. Yeah, we need him. More
Why is
comedy.
that?
Yeah.
See?
I mean,
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
are these the two best people we can come up with?
Really?
Food
I
for
mean,
the thought.
these are the two best candidates in the world. I mean, imagine if you arrived from another planet to Earth. Say, can you take me to your leader? Oh, hang on. It's either that guy who looks like he may be dead, is probably asleep, or the other guy there with the orange hair, the comb over. Yeah, what are they? That's the most powerful. Are these the two best candidates out of 8 billion that we can come up with? Seriously.
So tell me something I'm intrigued is, as a comedian, are you on planes writing, that was really funny what the hostess just, I'll just write that one down. Are you, sort of at an airport, are you writing things down? Are you at home going, the kids fell over, I'll write that down?
I don't write things down until after I've done them. You know, it's something neat. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because if
Hit
you
me with
write
that.
it down, that's in its final form.
Wow.
You know what I mean? If you keep it in your head,
Yeah.
you can sort of shape it and stretch it here
Oh,
or
I
pull
love
it there.
that.
It's true.
I love that for life.
I
Yeah.
know, that's
I
clever.
mean, there's journaling, that's
Most
different.
of my routines have not been written. Almost everything is just in my head. And,
You're kidding
I
me.
can do hours as you've seen.
So
Yes.
if I went to see your show, like twice, it wouldn't necessarily be exactly
No,
the same
because
gig.
if you go on stage with ideas, then you just develop that idea in a conversation. You don't. If you've written it down, then you're just reciting it. I mean, you might as well just go and put a record on, and listen. But if you go on the stage with ideas, then it's always fresh. It's always
Then you
and more
expand on
importantly
that.
to me, rather than not just the audience. If I can't get motivated by how exciting the idea is, I can't put my sort of soul into it. I can't.
That's amazing.
It's not amazing. It's just,
I think it's
just how it
remarkable.
is.
That's how you
because
work.
I have to have order. Do you have a list in front of you? Like
If I'm doing like the show you came to
Yes,
see,
yeah.
well, I know I've got to fill out like a lot of time,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
I'll make a list of points just to know
just
that I've sort of
points.
that I'm going to get through an hour and a half or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
But no, I won't write individual lines down because
Wow.
I want to develop them on stage.
And who are your favourite comedians? Who do you love yourself?
I love comedy, and if you ask any comic who their favourite, people who get involved in comedy love comedy.
Yeah.
So there's no one I kind of don't like, to be honest with you. I grew up loving Jerry Lewis.
Okay.
I just
yeah,
absolutely
fabulous.
adored him.
Actually, I can see a bit of the Jerry Lewis sort
Yeah.
of thing.
That's
Yeah.
amore.
he And I grew up on a diet of heavy diet of comedy. Here's another huge difference between the generations. There's no comedy. I mean, you turn on a TV. I'm 60, so like there was the weekend would be chock full of comedy. There'd be comedy movie. There'd be Ma and Pa Kettle. There'd be Abbott and Costello. There'd be Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. There'd be the Benny Hill show, the Paul Hogan show, the Flip Wilson show. There'd be wall to wall. The sitcoms, you know, the Hillbillies, Green Acres, Addams Family, Gilligan's Island, McHale's Navy. I mean, where are the comedy shows?
Petticoat Junction.
There is no comedy on TV.
Is it just not allowed now?
I mean, like you might have a couple of half interesting people on a panel talking nonsense. No one's being funny.
We were the greatest growing up, you know.
Yeah,
like,
honestly, we had a lot of comedy growing up.
So we were crazy.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, all the names. I mean, that's I haven't even touched the side.
No, but you've written
iceberg.
comedy shows, haven't you, Vince?
I have, yeah.
Tell us what you've done.
Well, I've written comedy movies. I've written. It was a terrible movie.
Was it? Was it really?
You can sense my resistance to talking about it.
Okay, tell us another one then. You were with MTV and doing some.
I was on MTV in the States. Yeah,
Cool
I lived in the States in the late 80s. I had a show on MTV called The Big Blank Show. It was live across America 4 nights a week
That's
out of New York.
huge.
It was fantastic, yeah. I've done a lot of interesting. I've written docos.
I love the environmental doco, No Laughing
No
Matter.
Laughing. Yeah,
Tell us
look,
about that.
we wrote a movie. I wrote a movie in 1990 that could have been written today. It was all about third world sustainability and.
Good on you.
Yeah, and it was just no one had any idea what we were talking about and about how countries need to sort of put environmental things on their economic ledger to sort of try and combat, try and turn the world around. It was a very new concept in those times, but yeah, it was a very interesting movie. Won Best Film at the Berlin Film Festival.
Congratulations.
I was nominated for
Right,
Best New Performance.
Good on
I
you.
played all 8 characters in the movie.
Wow. It's interesting. It's all part of your history, and here you are. You're still
I-
going. And
I
you're
don't look, I
thriving.
really don't look at as you can tell, I don't dwell on the past much. It's
You're very
You've got a
present.
really good attitude to life then.
I
It's
always,
very healthy.
when I speak, I like to speak about what's going on now. You know, I'm a news addict. I think you were talking about sort of source of material before. Like, that's what I do. I don't sit at a desk, writing. But I
keep it up here.
ingest a lot of information. I
Wow.
love the news. A good tip for any I read the letters sections in all the papers every day.
Okay.
Wow.
'Cause you know-
I used
Excuse
to
me.
read those. I
No,
don't
that's
now.
good.
Yeah.
Well, it tells you what's going on.
Yeah.
It tells you what people think about what's going on. And sometimes there's some pretty good lines in there as well. So it's
that's clever.
yeah. I mean, and what comics should be, what I feel comics should be doing, is you've got to have your finger on the pulse. You got to, what is the issue? You know, and how do people react to that? What is the Aussie point of view? If you can find the Aussie point of view about most things, it's going to be funny.
Yeah,
It's
you're
gonna
so right.
Yeah, you're going to be 90% of the way to having a gag or a
And
routine.
can I ask, how does that translate in your family life? Because, you're married to a beautiful, woman and you've got 4 gorgeous kids and they're growing up. Is it funny at home, or do they think Dad's sort of not funny, or do they think he's a funny man, or what do you like with them? How
They think
does it
I'm funny,
translate?
but they know I can turn it on and off. You know, it's not,
It's work. Yeah.
honestly, if you were trying to be funny all the time, you'd be a pain in the ass.
Exhausted. And you'd be exhausted
Exactly.
too.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's
And it
unbearable.
wouldn't be
And
real. It just wouldn't be
I
real.
know people who do try comics, insecure comics, who
Yes.
try to be funny all the time, and it's just shut
Exhausted.
up. For God's sake.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Be real.
really? Not
Yeah.
everything is funny. You know?
No,
Yeah, exactly.
no. Are they
Yeah.
funny? Any of your kids? Any of your kids?
Oh, my kids
have
are
got
really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them's doing a drama degree now, and actually all 4 of them.
Really, yeah.
Always surprise me with the stuff. And my wife's very funny
Yes,
too.
yeah.
My wife is constantly being told, how come he's the one on stage? You know?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fabulous.
that's what she tells me anyway.
Yeah, right. I've got one.
Well, I tell you what, I saw her cheering it,
Yeah.
for you, and I just thought that is gold.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, I
that
think
you've
it
got
takes a
that.
very understanding person to be married to a comic. Because
Definitely.
we are, we do see the world very differently, and, we do take things very much to heart. I mean, here's the real stand-up comedy is the real deep end of the arts of performing, because It's not like you can sort of, if you're in a band, you can say, oh, the lighting rig was bad, or the sound was screwed up, and the drummer missed his beats. And if they don't like the show, they don't like me. Mm-hmm. They don't like. It's hard for me. I'm not a costumed character. I'm not Barry Humphries, where I can take off the Dame Edna. Go stand at the bar and have a drink with everyone else. It's Vince Sorrenti. I'm the same guy that was on stage. Yes. I'm at the bar, and if you died on stage, but you feel like shit, it's really bad. It's so the highs are extreme, and so are the lows.
I believe that.
So we can be difficult to get on with.
And how do you handle those lows?
By not dwelling on the past. I think this is a really important thing in life. You've got to move forward, and I say that more as a medicine to myself, because not every show is great, not every situation is ideal. You've got to say, okay, that door's closed, let's look at the next one.
So that's good tips for our listeners, because we're saying, when they are feeling low or they've had a really big knockback, I mean, it mightn't be as obvious as you, and that's pretty courageous standing up there, and it's sort of fallen flat, and you are that. But how do you move forward that way? How do you still lift yourself up? What's your tools for doing that?
Other subjects, other people. Think about things that make you happy. Think about things that are engaging without dragging you down into a darker place.
I was reading how comedians have been fortunate to endure longevity. Like a lot of comedians have
that's
long
so true.
lives.
Long lives. Yeah, Milton Berle was like 102 and
there was a list of like 100. Yeah. I was going, in the late 90s, 100, whatever, and I thought, because they talk about laughter. Yeah,
and Bob Hope was over 100.
Yep.
Who's the guy? George Burns.
George Burns.
He was 102 or 104.
It's actually. John Cleese. I could just keep going. Like I was just reading, going, but they say how healthy it is to laugh. No.
Just don't do it with a chicken bone in your throat.
Exactly. Seriously.
He was on his way to 100.
Good. You know what? I just want to put it out there. Thank you for not being afraid. Thank you for just being you and saying, hey, are you sure you're forward from the 80s, so you're coming from a different world than what the comedians, the younger comedians are.
World.
And you are. But you're still being real, and you're not afraid to say, I can't say that, I can't do this, I can't go left, I can't go. You know what? I'm me, this is me, and that's who I am. Come to the show or not.
I will stop saying what I say when people stop laughing. So they're telling me.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, you're booked out.
They're telling me.
So what's next? Are you touring more, or what's on the...
I'm offended in many other destinations.
Oh, fabulous.
Wow.
Around Australia?
Yeah, mainly around Sydney and Queensland.
Great.
But we'll be taking it on the
Well,
road.
Nicola thoroughly recommended.
I want to come and see you again,
Yeah,
honestly, because it's the biggest... You've got to come and see it, and then our listeners
I want to
too.
see it, like severely.
I knew it was going to be funny, but honestly, I didn't realise it was going to be that bloody funny.
I was just thinking, do you remember we interviewed Sarah De Lorenzo a few months ago now?
Yeah, there's a few nutritionists.
She's a clinical nutritionist who was saying that about people that can't sleep at night, when you wake up, start smiling. Just smile. And I do it because the moon affects me. I don't sleep for many nights. And I wake up and I smile, just like that.
I know, yeah.
And I'm telling you, it works. Yeah. And, it's all interconnected, smiling and laughter. It's the healthiest thing you can do.
I think it's such a good sign in a person too. I mean,
yes.
You're not going to sort of worry about anyone who's sort of sitting in a corner smiling and laughing.
Well, it's funny.
No. Well, maybe. No.
Remember our very...
Checking in the dark or on your own.
In bed alone at night?
What else is going on?
Our very first guest on our potty over a year ago, and who's a very good friend of ours too, Leslie Hancock, who's a comedian too, who makes us laugh, so much. But she also, her spiritual side too, I think she went to India and she actually did a retreat with this yoga, and it was actually the laughing yoga. And when
belly
they actually
laugh.
had to
I've done one of those.
belly laugh. And at one stage then she's going, I'm losing my career, because if that's something you have to do is pretend. But she said it made everyone feel good.
It's such a mental and physical reaction to things.
So you've done that.
Involves the
full body.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
Well, actually, I was brought in to make people laugh at one of those sessions.
Perfect.
Really?
Wow.
This new age thing that was going on in the
And
90s.
tell us, can you make us laugh like that? What
Well,
what do you do? No.
I wasn't allowed to say anything.
Oh.
I just had to sort of lie there and sit there with the other, and just laugh.
And that would make them laugh.
Yeah, and then they would be
Oh.
making me laugh.
Just from laughter.
It's quite infectious laughing.
Oh, look, I must be honest. When I hear someone
laughing
laughing,
now.
I laugh. I do. It is infectious. And I think also when you're on stage, someone will go, I didn't really get that. But geez, they're all like, I am too. They're going with that energy.
It's a really good thing for your head laughing, because I think it's a really good communication device, because you think about when you laugh, you are subconsciously telling someone that you are as smart as they are. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hadn't heard of
So
that.
yeah, that's why you often laugh at stuff that you don't get, but you don't want to look like an idiot. So you go, oh yeah, yeah. You don't say, yeah, I'm not an idiot. Hey, I thought that was.
I got that.
You know what I mean? And that's why
It's a
it's
diffuser.
it's a great sort of like bring together tool. It's because. You know, it shows that we're getting on. It shows that we're trying to understand each other, and that we're on the same level.
Honestly, Vince, you are refreshing. Aren't you? You know,
what a career to make people laugh.
Oh, it's the most
Really?
stupid thing you could possibly
It's
do
the
for a living.
greatest
I mean, could you
gift
imagine? I
to the
can't
human
believe I've
race.
got a house
Right.
and a wife and 4 kids,
Yeah.
and you know, it's it just people think you're mad to approach this as a career.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you ever had a moment when you've gone out on stage where someone's gone, or you've gone, this isn't really working. This I have to go left field. That they're not reacting and
Yeah,
not,
that
not
happens all
laughing.
the time.
How do you deal with
Well,
that
yeah,
one?
that's- you have to deal with it. You've
because
gotta change.
personally, I would take that on board. Like you have to
You'd be
deflect
offended,
that.
wouldn't you?
I'd be offended.
See,
How do you deal with that? Like
Well,
seriously.
There's lots of ways, but you've got to find something. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, you're not funny all the
What
time.
do you grab? Like if you go, that gag.
It's
no
got to be
one
smart.
laughed.
Well,
So
you've
you
got
gotta-
to, get off that horse and get on another horse.
Wow.
You know, this is where
Think
this
on your
is-
feet.
Well, actually,
So
this is an
hard.
advantage of stand-up comedy, because sometimes if you're in a character, if some comics have a sort of certain persona, and it's very rigid. The audience has to accept exactly what they are doing,
Yeah.
and if that's not working, they're really stuck. Whereas I can talk about anything. I can change tack. I can talk about a different subject. I can raise or lower my energy levels. I can do.
So do you adapt that
or I
to
can,
the
I can attack
crowd?
someone in the crowd if it can really get
Right.
you know.
Yeah, but do you actually feel the crowd, like
Of
feel the
course.
energy?
Oh, my God.
See, people don't talk about that. It's a
the
group
most-
of
that's-
humans.
It's devastating.
Yeah,
and incredibly encouraging at the same time. It's if the audience isn't giving you any energy, it's like playing a guitar without any strings. It's just
Right.
there's nothing coming out.
Right,
You know what I mean?
oh, got it.
You play the energy of the audience, and if they're laughing, if they're giving you time and space, if they're agreeing with the line, you grow. You know, your material expands. That's why you write stuff on stage. You know, what it's in your head, they're helping you write. The audience writes your show.
It's like
Wow,
they say,
that's
you're
amazing.
in flow.
yeah.
Is there sort of favourite topics that you really personally love?
I love global affairs. You know,
Yeah.
I read. I
Reading
find-
those letters.
And it's a bit
Yeah.
blokey, I know, but
Yeah,
and look,
no.
men and women vastly different in what they laugh.
Yeah.
Women laugh at stuff more about people.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if
really.
I'm doing a show that's predominantly female, I will try and talk about the same issues, but I will do it from a point of view of the person in that issue,
Yeah,
rather than
okay.
the issue. You know,
Okay, got it.
You know,
Right. Oh, that's
it's about-
amazing.
He's a
it's
new
about-
age sensitive man.
It's about
isn't he?
Kim Jong Un,
Because
not
it's-
North Korea.
He's not-
You know,
Yeah,
I know,
it's
yeah.
about Putin, not Russia. You know, it's,
Right.
it's about.
Wow, that's interesting.
We go for more the specifics, you know,
Wow.
like the
yeah. Well, I'm
the
not trying to be
people-
sexist in saying,
No.
but that's
Yeah.
just women do.
We could be
think
offended
in a
here,
But be
different
Vince,
careful,
you know.
man.
I'm not trying to offend.
We have to be politically
I
correct.
think we've got quite a few female audiences
They're very angry
here,
at
you
me
know,
now.
like
I
that.
think wokeness is putting a lot of people asleep, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Oh,
I couldn't
honestly.
agree
Let
more.
bring back the laughter,
Yeah.
bring back the fun.
Yeah.
Disco's on its way back majorly.
Oh,
so
wow.
hey,
Yeah,
Full circle.
yeah.
Let's
So,
do
so
it.
what do you do for a laugh apart from comedy shows or whatever? What's your thing of a good time?
Gee, what do I do for a good time? Honestly,
Bingo?
I love being on stage. Yeah, I'm playing trivia tonight. At
Oh,
a
there
pub,
you
so
go.
it's fun.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's a
fun.
fun
I
night.
love trivia.
I love it.
Usually
Yeah.
like going with people that can get it, and I go,
I'd like to sit on Vince's table.
Oh, we do
yeah.
pretty good.
Oh,
out
yeah,
there.
Vince would be
too.
great. Yeah.
Like to keep fit. I like watching sport. I like go to the movies. I mean, there's nothing special about
You're
it.
an all-round nice
Yeah,
guy, aren't
yeah,
you?
yeah.
You know, you're all right.
I hope I'm giving up the right vibe.
No, you know what?
I'm not, mate. I am nothing special. I'm just a middle-aged guy trying to get on with life.
But you've been doing this since the 80s, and ultimately, let's be honest, I did say up front that you're a survivor. I mean, I imagine comedy. There's a lot of comedians that don't continue it. They go down other avenues, of course. But you got to hand it to you. It's like it's something that you love to do. As Nicola was raving about your show, people detect that. People feel that. There's some that go up on stage and you go, oh, sometimes singers in their late 70s age, you go, oh, give it a break.
I need to do, Doc.
But
I need to do it.
But your enthusiasm is real, and people sense that, to be authentic with that as opposed to putting on the act.
I would hate not to be a comic. Honestly, I often think
you found
beautiful.
your love. You always say, do
It's
what you
your
love,
gig.
love what you do, and
Yep.
you're an example of that.
if I ever retired, God forbid, I would never go to a comedy show. I wouldn't even want to watch a comedy movie and hear how funny someone else was being.
No, I get that. Seriously.
I almost hate talking about comedy because it's sort of like, hang on, what about me?
Yeah. No,
Well,
I
I'll tell
get
you what,
that.
I've been fortunate enough. I've sat next to Vince at a dinner party too, and you're bloody funny then too. And I don't even think you're meaning to be.
Well, thank you. I think you're funny when you're not trying to be funny too.
Yeah. There's many sides to all of us, but we can't, as you said, you can't expect to be funny 24/7. It's like
miserable dickhead too.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it.
And our podcast is all real and authentic, and life's ups and downs, and how you handle it, and like with aging. How do you find aging? I mean, you're only 60, but still,
you're a
I am
baby.
63.
Yeah.
I was telling a
63.
wife.
Oh, little porky.
You're a baby.
Absolutely.
Listen to your elders, I say.
Look, my mother hated getting old, and she said, she's always in Italian. She'd say this: "La vecchiaia è brutta," like aging is ugly. But
Wow.
I'm trying not to see it for that way.
Yeah.
I think that aging is a great space.
Yeah.
And I don't see any difference in what I do and how I approach life than when I was 30.
Love that.
Honestly, I just
Still an attitude,
I still
isn't
have
it?
a lot to look forward to. I still plan on doing a lot more stuff. I'm an old dad, so my kids are still pretty young, so I feel like that
That's
kind of
good.
drags you down back
Keeps
into your
you young.
40s
Yeah,
or 50s
yeah,
as well.
totally.
Yeah.
I think you've got to stay in the game, though. I'm a big believer in exercise and good diet. There's not a day goes past that I won't at least get on a bike for an hour.
Good on
At
you.
least. That's the absolute
Well, you're
minimum.
looking great,
Okay,
seriously.
Well, thank you. But
Yeah, I mean
I've
you
always
do.
loved to
You
eat.
haven't
I've always been a big guy, but I've always been a fit person, and I think that it's not only just for your body, it's more
Mind.
for your head too.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really clears.
Absolutely. If things are going wrong for me, boom, go straight for a walk or a swim, and I come back a different person. Guaranteed.
100%.
Yeah.
I've solved all my life's problems by doing laps.
It's-
And
You know, we
Isn't
say
that
that,
incredible?
and we say that
Yeah.
for our listeners too.
Yeah.
It really is one of those things of get out there and do something,
So true.
and it can be as simple as walking, or do you listen to any potties yourself?
Never.
Over
Sorry
there.
Well,
to
now
say
you
that,
got.
though.
Now I'll tell you what. There's a new one to listen to.
I don't like listening.
Here.
I don't like listening to anything. Like if I go for a walk or a bike ride or a
Right,
swim,
nature.
I don't want.
Switch
I don't
off.
want anything in my. I don't-
Tweet bird in the
not even
in the
music.
branch.
Nothing. I
No,
just-
not even when your wife rings. Sorry, I don't listen to anything.
Turn it off.
Who's this?
My accountant. Yeah, I love it.
No, it's
that's
you're
great.
not clearing your head if you're putting stuff into your head.
Yeah.
I love the way you think like that, particularly with your shows. You're like, if I wrote it all down, it'd be locked in. You like to have more of a free spirit. I just love that approach.
But mate, the head is
Yeah.
so important. It's so. My dad is 92. You could be listening to him right now.
Yeah.
He's so lucid. He's so intelligent. He's so engaged in life. The guy drives a car, gardens. I mean, it's
Wow.
it's
So he's
incredible.
smart, and is he
Yeah.
well read? Does
He's
he?
very. He reads all day. He's got nothing else. He just reads.
Fabulous.
You know?
Wow, that's. Isn't
Oh, I
that
call it a
wonderful?
new beginning. Over 60,
Yeah,
I call it a whole new beginning.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
I said. It's
I
my
say it
new
over,
phase.
but I say over
Yeah.
40, 50.
Yeah.
I think at every stage it's a new beginning.
Yep.
But,
Absolutely.
This is
yeah.
for
Do
me.
something new.
I'm doing heaps
Yeah.
of new things,
Do something
things
new.
I've never
that's-
done.
That is a good
and the
tip.
kids have grown up, which you'll be ahead of you, and you are freer. You know, when you've got children, you're buying, you're shopping, you're doing whatever. Kids, now it's like they're growing up. It's like, oh, me, myself, and I. Hello, it's great. It's a great time.
Do something new. Have something.
Do something new. It's really good tip.
Three things.
Okay, three.
Yeah.
Let's hear Vince's three
something new.
things.
Have someone to love.
Yeah.
Have something to do. And have something to look forward to.
Purpose. I believe in the last one. I was just reading recently, they say, socially even, have something to look forward to, such as, it doesn't have to, if you can't go on a holiday, okay, I booked coffee with so-and-so in 2 weeks' time. I'm really looking forward to that and maintain that. They say for the human mind, it must always have something to look forward to, whatever that may be. Make plans. And that's also a sense of purpose, isn't it? You know, getting into life.
I can't tell you how good I feel if I'm on the laptop planning a holiday.
Yeah, well,
How
same
good does
here.
it feel?
I'm the same.
And I like what you say to have someone
travelling.
to love, and it doesn't necessarily even mean to be a partner or a wife. There, it can be your parents, it can be your children, it can be an animal, it can be your neighbour.
Someone to
someone to love
Yeah.
is really important.
Yeah.
And
Like
what was the
neighbour,
middle one
over
we
the
had?
back fence.
Something to do. Someone to love. Something to do.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's an old Eastern
It's
philosophy,
beautiful,
but it
and
is
it's
beautiful.
true.
Yeah.
It really is.
We've got you from out of the eastern suburbs to sort of not too far with the back fence, but, you know, we share a back fence, and I'd really
do.
like to know if you could share a back fence with anybody on planet Earth,
Yeah.
who would it be
Right
and
now?
why?
I mean, I've got a bit of a man crush at the moment on Stanley Tucci.
Oh, yeah.
Stanley Tucci.
I've been watching his food. Yeah.
it's the best.
So shoot, tell us
I'm
all.
I'm a
For
food
For people who
fanatic.
don't know him,
No.
tell us.
Stanley
brilliant.
Tucci, you'd probably know him
He's on
from
Instagram, you
Devil
follow
Wears
him.
Prada and
Yeah, he's brilliant.
many other shows.
And
movies.
why?
Follow
And
him?
why?
Do you follow him?
Look, he's a wonderful
brilliant.
actor. He is exactly my age. Both his parents are Calabrese, like mine.
Okay.
Right. He's an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. And I just love his outlook on life. His food show, his Regions of Italy food
I'm
show.
obsessed.
It's
well,
the
I'm
best
putting
food
it on the
show
radar.
And it's
I've
very
ever
simple
seen.
I'm
food.
putting it
It's
on the
not
radar.
complicated.
Yeah, read his book.
Shoot.
I love him.
He's gorgeous
Wow.
and cheeky. I like
That's great. I
cheeky.
tell you what, you two together, what a hoot.
Yeah, I might write to him. actually.
Why
Yeah,
not?
Really, I think that's great. I think you'll love hearing
Something
that.
to look forward
we
to.
might shoot that to Stan. So, Diane, what about our lucky last question of Vince?
If you had the opportunity of having a chat to your 20-year-old self, what would you say and why?
Oh, don't worry, Vince. Some girl will like you one day.
Was there a few knockbacks, was there?
Of course. Makes you who you are.
Yeah, true.
No, I don't know if I'd say that, actually.
Say.
What would I say? It's, don't worry. I think the older you get, that's one good thing about getting old. Yeah, you don't
true,
worry
though.
about stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
just stuff.
Yeah.
Who gives a rat's?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just cram it into your brain. It's
am I gonna do
negativity.
this? Will I achieve
Yeah.
that? Will I have enough money
Yeah.
for that? Will
Yeah.
I get married? Will I have kids? What's going to become of me? Well, it's already become.
Yeah. It's
so
like the
I'm
garbage
not
bin's
worried.
full.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's full. It's going to be, expanding and fooling everyone, whatever. It's like that because it's garbage.
Yeah, it is
90% of the stuff
Yeah.
you hold on to is
Yeah.
garbage.
Oh, it's very nice. I like that.
Yeah, but it's
Sort of
true
those
though.
gifts of aging that
Just
way.
a waste of energy.
You know what, Vince? Thank you so much
Oh,
for
Oh,
coming on the
enormous
show.
pleasure.
Really,
Enormous pleasure.
just the joy of having you on
Yeah.
and just how you are.
Happiness.
It's uplifting, and we like to uplift and inspire people. I think
And
you're
thank
the
you for
ultimate.
doing
So,
that.
yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
thank you
We
for
need
having
more
me
of
on.
it.
Much
We
for
need
that
more
too.
of it.
And I'd really like our listeners to write in, tell us what they liked about Vince. Thank you for listening.
Or dislike,
and,
'cause they might have been offended.
Exactly, they could be
Yeah,
offended.
that's right.
And tell us what they have been offended by as well. But don't
he'll
forget,
put that into his
don't
next
forget
bloody
to
show.
rate and review, and tell Vince to listen to a potty because he hasn't listened to one yet. So you
Yeah,
know we're
this will be your
we're a little bit offended by that. I've got to say, Vince. So with that, we always ask our listeners to give us sort of like a rating, and it's out of 5. And Didy, what do you think we've got Vince on? What should he be getting today?
63 out of 5.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. 63.
Yeah,
It's got a
he's
ring to
doing
it,
bloody
isn't it?
well for
It's pretty
63.
good.
So let's
Wow.
run with 63 out of 5.
Yeah. Well, thank you for
Aim
listening.
high, right?
Yeah. Ciao, ciao. We'll
Thanks,
be in your
Vince.
ears
Thank you
next
very much,
week.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.